at the corner of 13th and Washington, and when I first came to New York in 1982, this was the meatpacking district. I mean, that the High Line was this decrepit, falling apart thing. This was all meatpacking houses. It smelled like guts and blood. It was gross, and there was a whole other scene that went on here at night. But this was like gritty urban New York, maybe at its worst, and it's been transformed. One of those amazing stories in this city that continues to be a succession of amazing stories is the transformation of this into like this amazingly chic shopping area. Well, I'm not into the whole restaurant scene down here. I think most of them are junk. I'm not into the whole bar scene either, but I live near the Chelsea Market, and I've watched it turn into a really viably cool market. So today we're going to do a piece on 4 or 5 of my favorite stores within the Chelsea Market that really stand out in the city for shopping, for ingredients, for your pantry, for your enjoyment. So stay with us. We're doing a piece today on the Chelsea Market, which has really become kind of a cool food shopping center. I wasn't so crazy about it in the beginning, but I am now, and we'll get to that. But the same day, I couldn't resist this. Today's the day they launched Beaujolais Nouveau. Once a year, they do this every November, and now we're just south of the Chelsea Market, outside of Bagatelle, and the theme is, this is my high school graduating class. I've morphed back in time, I have. It's 1974, Donovan's big, Pink Floyd's hot, and yeah, that's me. I wore beads. My kids don't believe me. Rootstock, the Beaujolais launched to the Beaujolais Nouveau. The theme is peace, love, and Beaujolais. I couldn't think of a better place to start the show, so stay with us. We'll get to the Chelsea Market after a sip of Beaujolais Nouveau, the biker chefs, and the hippie bus. Thanks, guys.
Peace, love, and happiness.
The third Thursday of every November is traditionally when Beaujolais Nouveau is released, not only in New York, but all over the United States and all over the world.
And this was really the brainchild of George DeBuff years ago, wasn't it, to sort of have this launch? I mean, Beaujolais, who else does it? I've heard of Novellos out of Italy, but nobody does it like they do out of Beaujolais.
No, we've been doing it with George. This is our 27th year.
We're outside the Chelsea Market. It's on the corner of 15th and 9th. This is really one of the great recycled buildings of all times. This was originally the National Biscuit Company. This is like where the first Oreo was made, way back turn of the century. The rail lines used to feed this ingredients. That's what the High Line was it fed all the production that went on down here, whether it was the meat market or all the baking. So this building that was actually, from its inception, one of the great early American bakeries, is now home to the TV Food Network, well, whatever that means, News 1 New York City, and downstairs these great markets. So we're going to go in, visit 4 or 5 of these again today, and great New York story. This is Chelsea Wine Vault, which is, you've been here a while.
We were the first store to open up, actually, when they remodeled 12 years ago.
So, good. You established that. So you guys were the first of the Mohicans.
Right.
Talk a bit about the store. It's not a huge store, but talk a little bit about what you guys try and do. What's the vision of Chelsea Wine Vault?
The focus is, first of all, wines with soul. So we taste everything before we buy it. We only buy what we love. So it's really a combination of wines that we love and wines that really pair well with food, and representing every corner of the globe as well. We have behind us here, actually, we have South America. Argentina, one of our biggest regions. We have a great Argentinian selection. Malbecs, of course, being very popular, but also Syrahs, blends, Merlots, Pinot Noirs even.
And there's really great value here. You know, we were just talking about New York, and I have an old world palate, so I really do prefer this. I'm not the bigger, the jammy, or the sort of, I don't know, I never liked it. It's okay, but I prefer the restraint there. Right. And we're not going to see that. But And California wines, the good ones start at $30, $40, $50. Sure. As do the good North Fork, Long Island wines. Sure. You've seen this great value out of South America. These Malbecs are $10 to $20, and they're really freaking fantastic.
And really, the difference there is that you're talking about the cost of running a business. California, Napa Valley, it's probably up to close to 1.8 million an acre. Then you're talking about, labor, the cost of running a business in America. And the sad but true thing is, you can go to South America, land is cheap, labor is cheap. You could really make some beautiful, high quality wines for a quarter of the price.
And this is a very small production wine, mainly made of Carmenere, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Syrah.
It's good juice. You see why we bought it.
Really good juice. I'm not spitting. I'm here with Jake Dixon. This is Dixon's Farmstand Meats, a huge and welcome addition because New York has this void for butcher shops. I mean, they're gone. And this is like an old school butcher shop.
Yeah, we're definitely bucking the trend. You know, most butcher shops are either fading away or closing, and we just opened just 5 weeks ago. So, you know, it's been fun, and we're kind of a different kind of butcher shop. All our meats come from small family farms in New York State and Connecticut. We buy everything directly from the farm, no middlemen. For us, the farmer is just responsible for getting the animal to the slaughterhouse, and I pick up from there.
So I'm become a customer, you know, sort of walked in and walked out with always more than I expect because it's always so interesting here. On your top shelf, you've got skirt steaks, which we know and they're great. But then you had a cut like the culotte, which you just don't see. Talk about where that comes from, because it's such a tasty piece of the animal.
The culotte comes from, it's a good example in that something we cut a little bit differently. It's usually sold as part of the top sirloin. We break it out as its own cut because it's a little bit different texture, and also it's a kind of a funky angle to the rest of the cut. That allows, it makes it difficult normally to cook well and slice properly. So by breaking it out into its own cut, you're able to cook it properly, slice it properly, and have better eating experience.
You're seaming it out, you're getting that one muscle out, isolating it, and that's
Exactly.
kind of the way the Europeans butcher meat because it's more expensive and
Exactly.
they find those little tidbits. I can't leave without talking about the chickens because I love chickens, but I'm really picky. I mean, I will honestly say I cannot remember ever buying a Tyson or a Purdue bird. Don't eat it, won't eat it. I'd rather chew grass. I'd rather be a vegetarian any day. Your birds are crazy good. Where are you getting them and what's the species?
Sure. So today we've got the birds are a red cockerel, and that's pretty much the breed we exclusively use right now. These are a full flavored bird. They're not your normal kind of super fast growing, white feathered chicken. They've got some texture to the meat. They've got a lot of flavor. People come back and they're just like, that's the best chicken I've eaten in 10 years. And it's not that this is like a rare breed or anything. It's just they're less widely used and they actually have flavor. And so much of the commodity product it's largely flavorless.
All right, across the hall from Dixon's Farmstead Market, another stop of mine in this Chelsea Market food orgy is Amy's. And this is Amy Sherber, the eponymous Amy. And it's funny, I mean, you get to know people through the product. In my world, I get to know you through your bread, but not you.
Right.
So I knew pastry chefs because I had their pastry, and I know chefs, and then I get to know the character behind the plate. And you and I actually first met then back at Mondrian.
Back at Mondrian, back in the late 89, 90.
89, 90, when
Yep.
Tom Colicchio was the name nobody'd heard
Yep,
of, and this
exactly.
little restaurant on
Totally
59th Street,
anonymous.
and you were making incredibly good bread back then.
Right.
So what drove you to become a baker?
Well,
What drove you into this business?
I worked in the kitchen making savory food, and I thought I wanted to go into pastry, and I worked with pastry for about a year, and it was a lot of sugar, and I had to taste all the sweets all the time, and I feel like, after the end of a day of sugar, I'm just ill. So I decided, bread is something I love. I could eat it every day, and it's something that we need more of. Like the whole process of making bread just suited me perfectly. The waiting for the dough and the way you work with the dough, and just like the combination of savory ingredients, fermentation, like understanding starters. I loved it, and it was just like that was it. I knew it was the right thing for me to do. So.
How old is your starter?
Well, we have a lot of them. One is pretty old. I mean, I started it before I opened this bakery, but I mean, I had a little piece from a very old starter that I added to it. So it's hard to know the origin of it really, but it could be 50 years old or more. It could be 12, 17, 20. I mean, we're not quite sure.
Yeah, but that's
They're
my point. If
Yeah,
you're old.
definitely, they're old for sure. So. This is an array of our breads, and we make some of them once a day, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a day. And we're kind of known for our sourdough breads, and this is my signature, the semolina with golden raisins and fennel, which is something kind of dear to my heart. It has cornmeal on the outside, it has golden raisins, we use grounded whole fennel seed, and it's very aromatic, but it's not sweet, but there's a certain sweetness that your tongue tastes just because of the raisins in there, and the fennel seed kind of tricks you, so.
And let's go, this is your
is a little
sourdough, and
tangy
you can see
sourdough.
this beautiful, but look at this
Yeah, a little
crust
blistered
and these
outside on it.
gorgeous blisters.
That's how you know it's a sourdough, right? You have that nice bubbly outside on it. There's no commercial yeast. It's just natural fermentation. It takes it a long time to rise.
Blisters all through
it's
here.
kinda
They're all
cool.
those little.
That's
And these are cool.
That's called a pea. It's the
Yeah.
shape of a wheat sheaf.
And you
So
break off, and
you
they're
break
wonderful
the chunks
little.
off there. Yep. As you go.
You and I had a conversation the other day, and I live in a fishing town. I went to my market the other day, and I was thrilled because the waters are getting cool now, and we had whiting, we had porgies, we had croakers, we had kingfish, and this is all like American fish that I love that Americans don't know what it is. Everyone wants tuna, everybody wants swordfish, everybody wants flounder. Here's a great example, Spanish mackerel.
One of the best.
Sustainable, delicious, and look how, I don't want to handle this because we're in a retail store, but look at the eyeballs. Look how firm, if I poke this, it's not soft at all. It's shiny, the eyes are fresh, the gills are going to be slimy. this $4.95 a pound for this whole fish. They'll fillet it for you, and I think you sell it filleted for like $7.95.
Yeah.
Same price as skate.
Well, I mean, to that point, like what working on the wholesale side allows us to do is really, we're able to cut out the middleman. It allows us to go really directly to the fishermen. It allows us to go directly to our suppliers, and bring in that fish direct. So along with us, being able to bring in fish at, a lesser price, it allows us to go directly to the source, get a beautiful product, really, better understand the product, where it's coming from, how it's fished, how it's farmed. And, just having that much more information, allows us to communicate to our customers that much more and offer them a pretty good price for the product.
If you don't like fishy fish, you might not like Roger, but man, you scale this, keep it skin side on, saute it up, that skin gets crisp like paper.
Really, really good.
Really sick. All right, sturgeon, West Coast. You can see how fatty that is, that
So
crazy
good.
yellow,
So good.
gnarly.
One of those fish that I think people are pretty intimidated to try just because, they think of sturgeon as, smoked sturgeon, don't really see the fresh product all that much, but
So good.
it's a great fish, a unique flavor, and even texture. It's nice and firm.
And look at these, $7.95, $8.50 a pound for clean, delicious, boneless, skinless protein.
Brought some home, made some fish tacos last night. They're good ones. So we got these beautiful head-on blue shrimp out of New Caledonia, South Pacific. Actually, I think this is the sweetest shrimp that we carry. So,
That's live, man.
so that is
live and angry.
that guy's awake. People associate sort of lobsters with summertime eating, and obviously it's great to have the clam bakes and the summer barbecues with lobster. But this is really prime season for lobster right now.
water.
The cold water,
Yeah.
hard shell lobster. You don't really get any shedders. You don't get those soft shells. I mean, these are lobsters just packed full of meat, hard shell, and they're just super sweet and delicious.
And my favorite part, right there.
Oh yeah, the knuckle.
To me, you can have the tails. Sell that to the guy that lives
Yep,
on Park
yep,
Avenue.
yep.
If you really like claws, be my guest. Hacking this thing
Yeah.
open. This is the sweetest meat on the
It's
damn
good.
animal. The store is Buon Italia. It's arguably the best all-around store for Italian ingredients in the whole city. Antonio Maiola, thanks for having us in.
Thank you for coming.
One of the owners. Tell me about the store. When did you guys open in this market?
We opened 11 years ago. It was 1996. I wasn't here yet. I was studying in Italy still. And after 2 years, in '98, I moved back. My father already had the place open for a couple of years. And it was new. The area was new.
Right.
Nobody knew what to expect. And it turned out to be a great situation because it's become a reference point for a lot of chefs.
Yeah.
And for a lot of foodies.
Yeah, I mean, look at these. This looks like something out of High Times, but I mean, look at these. Look at this oregano. It's so carefully picked. There's not a lot of loose junk at the bottom, what we used to call shake back in the day. It's all these beautiful buds.
Yeah.
And where's this, Sicilian?
This one is from Calabria.
Calabria. This
But we have
beautiful
both.
oregano. You open this up at home, you can't believe the perfume you get.
It's amazing.
You just take a piece off, crumble, put it in dishes. I was using this all summer with all my vegetables.
It doesn't even come close to the one that you already find that's already ground for you.
No, completely.
Completely it's like a different product altogether.
I don't use that stuff. This stuff's amazing. Every so often you get a recipe that calls for something. And I remember being in Italy and tasting it. Someone had a dessert, and when it came, I could smell chestnut honey. This is a really hard ingredient to find. So you even have these sort of specialty selections of
Oh yeah, there are a whole bunch of different honeys that we carry.
acacia honey.
Acacia honey, which is the classic one. The Tillo, which is a lime honey. The chestnut honey, the 1,000 flower honey. We have the flowers that they pick from the Alps. They make honey from that.
Grab a picture of these. You and that too, man. You got this guy. Does this guy
that
look
face?
happy? Well, yeah, come on. Hey, feed me. So, I've watched the Chelsea market. Initially, I'm a little spoiled. I'll back this up because Philadelphia has this great thing called the Reading Terminal Market. Years ago, we filmed there for this show. I don't know what year it was, 02, 03, but Reading Terminal Market's pretty amazing. It's an old train station converted into a humongous food market with dozens upon dozens of great vendors, great stalls. Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, the Amish come down, which is amazing because they've got all their great stuff. So when Chelsea Market opened, I was like, because New York really doesn't have a great market. We're trying to get like an under one roof market. I mean, Essex Market's cool. You can go up to Arthur Avenue, but you know, that's kind of a schlep, both of those places. I mean, Essex, even to get there is kind of a schlep. It's the end of the 104 bus. So I watched Chelsea Market evolve, and little by little, it's just get better. You know, they keep finally getting good vendors. I mean, Sarah Beth was there or Amy's was there from the beginning. I think the Lobster Place was one of the early guys there. Chelsea Wine Vault sure was. But now, you know, Dixon's Meat's amazing. Buon Italia, amazing. So it's really become a great shopping place. So coming out of there, one of the rare occasions I do eat in New York City, and I cook in my apartment, I usually make fish because it's going to be my light night because I'm cooking at home. So whole grains, fish, vegetables, you know, the diet. So I love the Lobster Place. It's a great fish house. So I thought I'd do a dish that when I do my cooking classes, I teach this dish. It's really simple. It's a one-pot dish, and it's vegetables, fish on top, steamed, low calorie, super healthy. All it's screaming for is a pot of rice. So you have to imagine I have made in my rice cooker a side dish of either whole grain rice or jasmine rice, whatever you want. This dish needs rice, but I'm not making rice today because you don't need it just for the picture. But I'm going to show you how to make it. It's super fast. We're going to braise bok choy cabbage. You can use Napa cabbage. You can use any cabbage you want. I just got this baby bok choy. We've washed it. We've cleaned it. I've taken it apart. We're going to finish the dish with a big mound of cilantro because I stole that from Chinatown. I love the idea of fish and fresh cilantro. We're going to have a little onion. We're going to have a good amount of ginger and some garlic. And we're going to start with a pan with onion, garlic, ginger, sweat them out, add the cabbage, let it begin to knock down. Put the fish on top, splash of soy sauce, and a lid, and forget about it for about 8 minutes. Let's start with the vegetables. We're just going to get our ginger peeled. And I don't know, I love fish and ginger. Flavors just seem to work. And we're just going to cut it into some randomly decorative shape. We're going to get the onion and just straight down. And the garlic, nothing fancy. All right, hot pan. Little oil. All right, you hear that sizzling sound means the pan's nice and warm, which is how we want it. We don't want it screaming hot because I don't want the onion to burn. Don't want the garlic to burn. Just want to let it begin to cook down. Come on, you. There you go. All right. And this I'm just going to cut nothing special, just kind of like big. The upper end of bite size. So you can see this is one of these super healthy dishes that's basically 2/3 vegetable, 1/3 protein, and imagine the rice. Now I'm going to go in with my cabbage, and you can see, you can hear that little sizzling sound. That's just a little of the water. And then this doesn't get any simpler. Fish goes right on top. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper from the mill, and a nice big splash of, this is low sodium soy sauce, but you could use any kind of soy sauce that you want here. And we're going to put a lid on this pan and cut that flame down a bit. And you know what I'm going to do? I want to set a timer. I never do this, but let's do this because it's going to look so official. We'll check this fish in 6 minutes when that goes ding. All right. I love it. All right, we set that for 6 minutes. Let's take a peek. You can see all that. Where'd all that water come from? Came out of the fish, came out of the vegetable. Now we're going to just put this right on the top, like that. Put the lid back on. Turn the heat off and let it finish. Now what we're going to try to do is pick this fish up in one fell swoop. Put it in the center of the plate, like that. And we're going to get our vegetables. See, they have a little bit of that. That's going to be tasty. It's going to be just, it's the natural juices of the fish, plus the soy sauce and a little bit of the liquid that would have come out of the vegetables. We're just going to arrange this. All you food stylists out there wincing, the heck with you. Our continuity director said this is okay. We don't want to waste any of this, so we're going to lay it around the fish. And I love this combination of cilantro and fish. This is the head side of the fish, the thick side of it. And you can see it's flaky. Look at that. Look how juicy that is. And I think this dish works best with these kinds of fish. Cod, scrod, pollock. Oh man. You know, this is how I cook. And I do this every time I do a fish cooking class at the Viking showroom here for the 92nd Street Y. I do this dish and people flip when they eat it because it's just so bloody good and it's so simple. So, we should be eating more fish anyway. And this is a home run on all counts because you got a ton of vegetables in here, basically no fat. I mean, the only fat that was in here was the little oil I used in the beginning to saute those first vegetables. After that, there is no fat in this dish whatsoever. You want whole grain rice on the side? You got your clean protein, steamed, you got your vegetables in abundance, you got your whole grain rice, you're in. All right, that's the end of today's lecture class. Thank you for attending. And, we'll be back. Chelsea Market, cool. When you get a chance, visit those stores. I love them. One of the great little markets, kind of in that far corner of New York City, but very, very cool. My props to all those people. It's great to see that place finally kicking. And the old National Baking Company, so it's like part of New York culinary history coming back. See you around. Be well. Take care. Eat at home. Eat healthy. See ya.